Okay, so we've gotten to the beginning where we're looking at the Declaration of Independence. Took a little bit for us to get here. We had to get past the Enlightenment philosophers that influenced the founding of America. So now we're going to look at the beginning documents. So the Declaration of Independence, what it did was it declared that we wanted to separate from England officially. If you come down here to the text, and I'll go back up to the strategy for a minute, and let's just take a quick look through it, okay? Important things to pull out. We have a date right here, July 4th, 1776. The 13 colonies of the United States of America. Y'all know, if you've been in class with me, we need to be looking, numbers are there for a reason. So if we see numbers, we need to look at them. So we're going to look through, it says unanimous declaration of the 13 colonies in the United States of America. There are times when it becomes necessary for one people to end the government ties which have connected them with another, and to take on the power and freedom that are rightfully theirs under nature and God. In such times they should announce the causes which make them want to separate. This is a version of, this is laying out the Declaration of Independence for you. We believe these truths to be obvious, that all men are created equal. This is a not the exact text. This is a slightly simplified down version. So we come down just a little bit. A history of repeated injuries. This again, it's laying it out for you. This is a simplified version. It takes out the confusing language and puts it into a modern tongue, a way we might talk now that we can understand to make this easier to study. This is talking about the king, that he is not doing what is right for the people of America, that they're not listening, that they don't have a say-so in what's going on. Eventually, we will get to the actual text of the Declaration of Independence. But for now, this is what we are going to use because we can understand it. There's not a confusing language. There's not, words that we may not use anymore that you wouldn't know what they mean. So after we read the Declaration, and I almost don't want to call it the Declaration of Independence because this is a translation of the Declaration of Independence. But we're going to come up here to this Show Me the Evidence chart. And if you haven't watched the other video, go back and watch the other video. But what you're going to do is you're going to make a prediction in this column right here of whether this is a true statement, a false statement, or if it's kind of somewhere in the middle, if it has a little bit of truth and a little bit of fiction in it. And you're going to write the appropriate symbol. So positive, negative, or question mark if it's somewhere in the middle. After you make your prediction, you're going to write what to look for. So right here, all people are equal and have certain God-given rights. What words could you look for in the text that this statement might jump out to you? Well, if it were me, I might look for the words God-given rights because that's very specific. So I would literally type right here, God-given rights. So we make all our predictions. Well, we're going to scan through this text after we do all the predictions and see if we can find that evidence. When we find it, we're going to copy and paste into this column right here. And then after you copy and paste, you're going to say, okay, was this statement true or false or somewhere in the middle based on the evidence? And then put the appropriate symbol. This is your prediction column. This is the column where you're actually stating what you found. So if you have any questions about this, and we'll go through this is just touching on the Declaration of Independence, but I want you to read it in this modernized language first. And we will get to the actual text later. You get to it much later in your senior year in government as well. We're getting an introduction to what it says, what it did, the purpose of it, And we don't need to get hung up on the language in it right now, words that are confusing and maybe have double meanings and things like that. So that's why we're using this translated text. Don't let that confuse you. If you have any questions, write me on Schoology or on email. Same as always, office hours, I'm in class. Wednesdays, I'm sitting there answering stuff all day long. I'll try to write you back during my planning period. So if you, like I said, if you have a question, send it to me.